next to no support for me starting this business because, well, firstly, my family, like, even though my family, really loving family, they didn't think it was a good idea.
Amadeo here, your host of the podcast episode. Today we're with special guest Deanna from Moustache. Currently we're at her brand new store here in OVERTHINK Village. Definitely a place you should check out. It's my first time personally here and I love the vibe. So today we're just going to go over Deanna's journey and her personal thoughts about the importance of mental health here in New Zealand. Much just understand her as a person and how she's grown to become the person behind this successful business. So thank you for joining us and thanks for taking the time.
All good, man. Anytime.
For people who don't know about you as a person, you want to tell us a bit about you prior to Moustache?
Yeah. So prior to Moustache, I actually wanted to do Moustache since I was 8 years old. I come from a solo mother family of 3 children, so money was always kind of hard to come by, and mum used to always like bake. She would wake up at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and we would wake up as children and we would wake up to the smell of like fresh muffins or fresh cookies. And so that's why like cookies kind of are such a simple product. It reminds me of that childlike nostalgia, that childlike happiness, and that's kind of like where the inspiration for cookies came from. So yeah, I really loved, I just loved dunking a cookie in milk, you know, so simple but so happy. And so like I wrote on my bucket list when I was like 8 years old, I was like, when I grow up, I want to open my own cookie shop. And it was like my number 1 thing on my bucket list. And like number 2 was like own a racing car bed, you know, those like red Ferraris. Yeah. So I wanted that. So it was like, it wasn't a very serious list. I don't think I would actually do it. And then when I grew up, I love people. I love talking to people. So then I was like, I want to be a journalist. So I studied communication studies, but it wasn't for me. And then I was moving house at that time, and that's when I came across my bucket list when I was 8 years old that said I want to open a cookie shop, and that's kind of where it all began.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really nice story. Like I didn't even know it was about like that far back.
Yeah.
I knew that it started from around about that age, but
yeah.
I didn't know the meaning behind that.
Yeah.
So would you say that's something that kind of went back and forth in your mind, like as you got that list again, or was it something you always cared, like you always remembered in your mind, even through studying communications? Was it always something that you've always like held in your heart, that you loved, or it's kind of like, oh man, like that was my bucket list, I should try and take it seriously?
Yeah, actually never. I wrote it when I was 8 as like a childhood, you know, like everything on that list.
You just did.
Yeah, like everything on that list was like all childlike stuff. Own a cookie shop, having a racing car bed. The other one was like go to Disneyland, all the stuff that a child would want, right? So it wasn't serious, you know. It wasn't serious. I actually never thought about it my whole life until I started working in the workplace, and I was like, man, this doesn't reach my heart, you know. And I was like, man, what can I do? And I was halfway through my studies, and coming from an Asian family, I was like, well, I better graduate, otherwise it's like
I'm not Asian anymore.
Yeah, social suicide, you know, like Asian family to like not graduate. So I was like, I better graduate. I got a scholarship anyway, so I was like, I'll finish my studies. And also I had the value in learning and having the experience. But I was like, what am I going to do? And that's when I was moving. I was like, looked at the bucket list. I was like, man, you know, like when I was a kid, like we didn't have much, and something as simple as a cookie made me so happy. So I was like, couldn't I spread that joy to other people? You know, just have 2 products, milk and cookies. And that's, for me, it's like simple things are good things are simple, right? So I was like, I'd love to do something like that. I'd love to have something simple that can make people smile and make me happy. And that that was just where it came from, you know. And it was just kind of like that, like it was from childhood, never thought of it, and then like come after university I was like, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Now, when it comes, before I answer this question,
Yeah.
I personally am a witness to this because she would know. Nutella fresh off the oven. And it's Nutella milkshake every time. Actually, during my studies, AUT, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the same university.
Yeah.
And as my reward for myself after studying, I would go to her store, first one, just right beside the Civic, and it'll be the Nutella milkshake. And I've always asked if it's in stock, and if there's one in the oven. Specifically, you have to have it.
Yeah, fresh out the oven. Nutella fiend you were. Yep.
Since then, I've been hooked. So,
Yeah.
man, congratulations! Like that's insane.
Thanks, man.
Where you are now. So,
Yeah.
when it comes to like you said, I can relate to the whole. I go do a degree.
Yeah.
But like you said, there was something that you wanted to do for such a long time.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of doubts, or was there full-on support from people around you saying, "Yeah, all good, like we got your back," or was it kind of like I need to back myself,
Yeah.
really trust myself? Because I think that's a lot of people, like young people that can relate to this, or people ask me, is like, do I just know, like when it's the thing I need to do?
Yep.
Like even when things don't seem certain,
Yep.
like is that trusting your gut, trusting your heart? Was that something you had to like back yourself all the way, or was there some support that you had from family or friends saying like, give it a shot, why not?
Yeah. Nah, like straight up, there was next to no support for me starting this business because, well, firstly, my family, like, even though my family, really loving family, they didn't think it was a good idea. I did study my degree, and I actually had a lot of job offers, like really good, secure job offers straight off the bat out of university. And my mum was like, please, Dee, like, you know, because, you know, coming from a solo mother family, like I have to give back to my family and look after my family first. So like we have to have kind of like stability. And so mum was like, you know, I think you should like work for at least 2 years and use your degree and get that foundation. And if, Deanna, you're still passionate about opening this business, then you can open it, you know? And she was like, but I really want you to use your degree and go into the workforce. And a lot of my friends, I told them of the idea, and they were like, nah, like you can't make money off cookies and milk. It's like it's too niche, it's too small. Everybody was like, even like I got a real estate agents, they don't want to show me around because they're like, well, your idea isn't very good. You need to sell sandwiches, you need to sell pies. And I'm like, well, if I start selling that stuff, how am I different from a normal cafe? I'm just a cafe that sells like biscuits and stuff, you know. And I was like, nah, that's not for me. Like I want to be niche, I want to be different, I want to specialize, I want to do one thing and I want to do it well. I don't want to like spread myself thin. And so like I think also like being young, and like I was like 19 at the time when I was in university, and I decided I was going to do Moustache. I was 19, I was like female, I was Asian. These are like small factors that like when people kind of look at me, they're like, nah. Nah.
Just go into the office or something.
Yeah. And so like I went to real estate agents, and they're just like, I remember for that Wellesley Street store by the Civic, the agent came up to me and she gave me one look at me. She's like, nah, like she was just like, nah, like your concept won't work. Like I don't even want to hand it to the landlord. And she told me like, you can't be in there because no food is allowed in that tenancy. And then like 9 months later, like Yogurt Story, they opened up next door, and I was like, you told me like no food is allowed, you know. And like just no one wanted to give me the time of day, you know. But
So how did you like specifically the landlord? Like,
yeah.
How did you fight to get that spot? Like that's something I always want to ask. Because, man, that part of town is hectic.
Yeah, it's hectic.
And to be a first store.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So funnily enough, I actually gave my proposal to my older brother. He's still Asian, of course, but he's actually like a real tall like male, and he actually handed it in and it went through. That's how I got that store.
The same person?
Yeah. No, actually we went through a different agent this time because that agent wasn't very good, and then that went through. And so I don't want to let any barriers set me back. Like if I want to do something, I want to do something, and it's like whatever way I can find, whatever way I can maneuver over that barrier, I'll find it. And sometimes it means I have to step back, and I might have to put somebody else in charge or get somebody to put something forward. But as long as I get it over the line, I don't care how I get it done, you know? Yeah.
And how, so I guess for people that are watching would want to love to know, where does that come from? Like that whole, that drive you have, the resilience to, hey, it might not work for me, but I still have a goal.
Yeah.
I'm going to find ways to make it work.
Yeah.
That's not in everyone, but I'm sure that's a characteristic or a trait that people would love to have in themselves.
Yeah.
Where does that come from, and how did you build it in yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I think originally it came from the fact that, like, coming from a solo mother family, we didn't have much. So I've always had that thing in me that, like, when you come from nothing, it's kind of like you can go back to nothing. And for me, I was like, man, like, we lived on very little growing up. So, like, if I try this and I fail, I'm going to go back to nothing. I lived on nothing. I'm happy on nothing. Like, what is it to be nothing? Like, I can rebuild. Like, we live in a wonderful country, New Zealand, where you're not going to die. You can, there's support. You'll have a roof over your head. You'll still have food. If I wanted to, I could go work minimum wage at a supermarket. That was my first job. I worked at Countdown, right? All good. I can just work at a supermarket if I wanted to. It doesn't really matter. I'm still going to be alive. I'm not going to die. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And so, like, I think it started from having very little. But you know what? Like, even if no matter where you are, even if you have little, if you have a lot, it doesn't matter. The mindset is still the same, that we live in a country where if you fail, it doesn't really matter. You can pick yourself up, and this is a land of opportunity where you can be anything you want to be. It's not like overseas in some third world countries where they don't even have the opportunity to pick themselves up because they don't have a choice, because they don't work, they starve, they die. Whereas us, it's not like that. So I think, like, we should take the opportunity that this is a blessing, and we should be the best that we can be and chase our dreams. Yeah.
And I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough to understand where you come from. But for those people who are foreign to this concept of those struggles, being from, like, having an Asian background and having nothing, what would be your advice to someone who's like, man, I wish I had that. I wish I could have that mentality. What would you tell our audience? What would be your advice to them to try and instill that mental strength? Like, what's a starting point for them to be like, man, it's either like try it and it fails.
Yeah. I think the starting point is to take that pressure off us. You know, we live in a society where you see everything on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Everybody's putting up a front. Everybody's showing the best of their life, and they're not showing the struggles and the hardships that they go through. For us, it's like, take a step back and be like, we don't know what other people are going through, and you need to take that pressure off and think that's not reality, and think, actually, just you don't have to be this big thing. You know, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to be, I've got to be a success. Everybody around me has to see that I'm a success. I've got all this stuff. Actually, that stuff, it's actually not, it's meaningless. And sometimes it's just smoke and mirrors, you know? So for me, it's like, take that pressure off yourself, that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a success right away. You know, all of it is in the journey. It's all about the learning. That's what life is about. It's about the learning. So take that pressure off yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it figured out right now, right here, today. Yeah, it's not overnight. And you know what they say, like, I really believe in this, is that long success builds character, and fast success builds ego. And for me, like, people think that we were a success story straight off the bat, but actually our journey has also been like this. And this is actually, last week was our 7th birthday, and there were a lot of times I didn't think we'll make it to 3 years. I didn't think we'll make it to 4 years, you know? But it's just been like all good. Like, I need to take my ego out of this, and I need to realize, like, it's all part of the journey, the ups and downs, and I just have to keep going and keep bettering myself, and what will come, you know? Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's like I'm sure a lot of people can learn from that and be inspired by the fact that to hear from you yourself that there's something that's beyond the pressure of the society, of the whole. Yeah. I gotta be 10,000 likes worth.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
I gotta look perfect all the time.
Yep.
I gotta be that person in a year's time.
Yeah.
And it just brings it back to the basics of, like, it always gives you that question of what makes me happy. Like,
Yeah, correct.
who am I as a person and what makes me happy? So I think a common theme that young people, or people of any age, is just trying to find who they are or what makes them really happy.
Yeah.
So, like, if I was to ask you for the money, for the shop or anything, has it been evident to you since a young age, like with the milk cookies, that's always made you happy? Has it always been obvious to you, like, oh man, I really enjoy that? Has it been a clear path to be like, oh man, this could be something I want to do? Because I know there's a lot of people now that struggle with, they enjoy this or they see that online, and it's hard for them to navigate to find out, oh man, strip it down and be like, this is actually something I really love, and this is something I just kind of like I kind of like. So, with time being limited, what would your advice be to people that kind of like, man, I kind of want to get myself together, like find out what I really am passionate about?
Yeah.
What would be your advice for them in that sense of, I just want to kind of have a start to who I am, what I enjoy?
Yeah, I actually get this question quite a lot from my friends. So they always ask me like, oh, like, I don't have a passion. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm so confused. There's so many things going on. What do I do? Like, you're lucky, Dee, because you knew you loved milk and cookies from a child. But actually, the reality is that when I came to start Moustache, yes, this was an idea. It was only an idea. I actually had a little juice bar that was in Lasigau French Markets in Parnell. I was actually about to open a juice bar instead of Moustache. And then I also had my journalism career. I had all these job offers, and I was just thinking, this could go any way for me. And what do I choose? Actually, I didn't think about it too much. I didn't sit there for hours, be like, oh, what's the true meaning, or what is this, or what is... I actually didn't. I just took action, and I was like, you know what, my gut feeling, my heart, straight away, without even thinking about it, is my heart is telling me just try Moustache, give it a go, and then if it doesn't work out, try another one. And so I tell my friends, they're like, oh, I got A, B, and C, and I'm like, I don't care which one, don't think about it too much, choose one of them, any of them. And then a year later, I ask them, I'm like, oh, what did you end up doing? They're like, oh, no, I'm still at my old job that I hate, like, I didn't do A, B, or C. And then I'm like, man, it's been a year. Like, by now, you could have discovered A was wrong and then stopped and then started B. And then by now, a year later, you might have discovered that C is actually the right choice.
Or B
or
A would have been the thing.
Exactly, so you don't know. But that's what I'm saying is all it is, don't overthink it, man. Just do something and try. It's literally, just do it. It's just try. Just try it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to give up your whole life. I gave up my whole life to start Moustache. You don't need to do that. You could have it as your side hustle. You can take a product to market after work. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, you're like, oh, I tried it, all good.
And we're so lucky now through social media that you can try it without putting too much risk.
Of course.
You can try and put it out there in the market. And I can tell you there's another video harder than that. But like you said, you can try it. And there's not much you're going to lose by putting it out to the market and just seeing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
I think what people are scared of is that when they try, it means that they don't want to fail. But you got to change that whole mentality. As for me, it's not will I try and then will I fail. It's I just try and that's it. Like I try it and I learn. There's no failure in learning, and that's what we have to change our mindset to.
and it's actually like in my to add to that, my mind. When people think of things as failure, I think of that as success. Like you're successfully learning.
Yep.
You're learning about what I'm going to do or I'm not going to do.
Yep.
Because if you didn't try it, you're not gonna have learned any of that.
Correct.
You wouldn't have gone to where A, B, or C would have led you to anyway.
Exactly, and that's why people ask me, oh, do you regret like spending 3 years on journalism? And I'm like, no, I don't, because the thing is, I actually, with all my heart, wanted to do journalism. And if somebody gave me the option, journalism or Moustache, which one would you choose? 10 years ago, before I did journalism, I would have chosen journalism 100%. The reason why I live fearlessly with Moustache, and I know that this is the right move, is because I did do journalism. I did do the juice bar. I did both of those before this. And the reason why I can live fully in this is because I didn't want to do those things and I already tried them. So only through the process of elimination, through failure, through all those things, then can you live wholeheartedly. Yeah.
You wouldn't have known if this is right or not. You might be thinking, oh, was journalism really for me?
Yeah.
Man, that's great. Yeah. And like, but there's been ups and downs, and I've seen that. Like, I was so like personally gutted, and me and my friends, we your spot at Wellesley was our spot.
Yep.
All of us are uni mates, literally like less than a minute down
Yep.
from our campus.
Yep.
That was our spot. When we were like so genuine, like no turning back, like
Yep.
where are we gonna go now? And then so what was your initial feeling then when it was a lease? Was it like tell us about a bit about why they had to shut down, and even though you had so much success and
Yep.
so many people
Yep.
coming to you and loving that spot.
Correct.
Why did you have to move?
Yeah. So we had been in Wellesley Street for 3 years, and the first 3 years were a really big success. That's where we made our name for ourselves, and we had a lot of customers there. And what happened after the third year was the landlord kind of saw, well, actually these guys we could charge them more. And so they were like, we're going to increase your rent by 40%. And originally, rent in the city is already very expensive. To increase something by 40% is crazy. And even though we were doing well, we're still a small business. So it's not like you invest 100K into a business and then within a year, you've got all your money back and you're like making heaps of money. It's kind of like, hospitality is more of a slow game, right? It's a long-term game. So for us, we're like, man, as a small business, we can't absorb this. But the main thing was not actually about money. The main thing was how behind the scenes I was being treated by the landlord, and it was a lot of corporate bullying going on. And it made me, money aside, my heart did not feel comfortable, my ethics did not feel comfortable in that situation where I was getting pushed around and forced into doing things that I did not want to do. And I thought of myself like, money is great, success is great, but actually what's more important is actually peace in your heart and integrity of what you're doing. And for me, it's like, that's why I started Moustache. I didn't start Moustache for the money. I started Moustache because it was in my heart. And actually no longer did it make me happy if I had to bow down to somebody that was actually kind of forcing me into stuff. Correct, it was taking the happiness. And I was like, then what's the point? There's no point. So I made a really tough decision. I said, well, look, this doesn't ethically feel right for me. So I said, nah, I'm just going to shut that store and I'm gonna start fresh. And so a lot of people, there was a lot of backlash about that. Like some people were like, you're making a big mistake because this is your success. This is what made you successful. The spot, everything is what made you successful. And I was like, nah. Some customers, some of my friends or family or whatever.
I think it was harder to take it from. Was it easier for the customers to take it from the customers because I get it, or what do you reckon was harder there?
I actually didn't really mind so much. Either way. It's not that I didn't care. It didn't faze me. I just was
thinking, oh man, I wish I was that person. When you say taking a step back and realizing what's really important.
Yeah.
Is there something you do at the moment, or did that kind of like remind you that like to kind of remind yourself what really makes you happy, or is it self-conscious that you're just it's okay, I know that's not me.
I think it's just like it's just simple things like I think we just get overwhelmed by too much choice, too much media telling us that this is what we should be, this is what we should be. Like simple things like getting up and making a list of everything that I need to do. It can help me not feel overwhelmed, and it just recenters me to like kind of meditate in the morning and think, what do I need? What makes me happy? What's gonna full doing exercise or seeing a mate, and just realizing that that's what's important, and not like constantly like having to flex and going and buy a Gucci bag and show it off. It's just realizing, what are your true values and what makes you smile, and how can you give back to other people, because that when you give back to other people, often that can help your own confidence as well. Yeah.
And it helps find what you really enjoy.
Yeah.
What you are about, like your values.
Yeah. Everything that I've become is trial and error, and emphasis on the error. It is literally, you can only, I always say, you can't know what is straight until you know what is crooked. So how can I know what I am? How can I know what is straight until I have gone and tried all this other stuff, gone crooked, gone this way, gone A, gone B. People expect to know themselves without, they sit in a room like, who am I? But you got to go out into the world, you got to experience it, you got to put yourself under stress, you got to put, how they say diamonds are made under pressure. Same thing, when you go out and experience things, when you're uncomfortable, actually that's when you realize who you are and where you do well and don't do well.
like whether it be family or friends that I guess they feel scared to open up to, because I think there's that culture of it's not cool or which we're trying to change through conversations like this. How do people reach out, like when they don't think their family or their friends understand? Is it normal to reach out to people outside of the circle, or do they just, or would you suggest, is there any ways you would suggest people can get through those tough times if they don't have that much support?
I think that people, when you bear your heart out, when you surrender yourself, when you are vulnerable to other people, people are vulnerable back, you know? They say that humans mirror each other. So if you want people to be close to them, like be close to you, you need to be close to them. You need to open yourself up, you know? And so I think if you feel alone, actually, a lot of people aren't alone, but they actually haven't opened themselves up to other people. You know, if you feel like your parents or your friends or whatever don't have you, I think if you actually had sat down with them and really like opened yourself up and was vulnerable to them, you'll be actually really surprised how much support there really is. It's just, the thing is, everyone's in their own bubbles and they don't know what you're going through unless you tell them. They can't read your mind, you know? And until we are brave enough to share, only can people help us. And that's what I'm saying, is that we've got to be open to the world, and we need to share our stories, share our problems, because you don't know what's going to come back to you.
Yeah, and don't be afraid, even if it's through someone to message on Instagram or whatever, just to go, hey, like, check on someone, how are you doing, or ask them if they can, like, lend the ear.
Yeah.
For mine as well, but do you ever have struggles yourself, like when it comes to running this business, or you're like, man, I need to take a little step back just to kind of like regain my mental strength, or like have some rest there? Is that important to you? Like, do you take time to be like, man, I just need to kind of chill for a bit?
Yeah.
Are you mentally attuned with that? Like, oh man, this is getting a lot. Like, this is getting a lot in my head.
Yeah. I get overwhelmed and stressed out all the time, but I'm not. The stress and the workload doesn't get any easier, but my mindset changes, and how I react to that stress is different, you know? And everything in life is yin and yang. You can't do everything. You have to do the opposite as well. You know, you can't work all the time and not rest. It's like you can't exercise and build your muscles all the time without stretching. Everything in the world is push and pull. And so with the business, it's the same thing. I kind of like, any time I get super stressed out, I'm like, I need to take a step back, because if I don't want to get too emotional about things, like I need to take a step back and like calm down and reset myself. And that might be just going to a yoga class, that might be going to, I don't know. Yeah, we went together. Or it could just be, you know, just meditating or talking to a friend about my problems and offloading. Simple stuff like that is just to reset, and also like just to, just sometimes chill out. And I think the thing is, like, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. And so for me, it's like, I don't go, I have to do this all in one day. It's actually breaking it down into chunks, writing a to-do list of a few tasks you can do per day, and eventually you'll eat the elephant, you know? It's just one bite at a time.
Like mini micro steps, mini goals.
Yeah. Correct.
So how goes all the way skip to like the last 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And we'll just like ask, like, what we want to know is, you as a successful business owner, with 7 years of like business experience in New Zealand, starting from practically nothing, what would your advice be to them? One in the like business perspective, and for the mental health, like what's the key takeaway that you would just want them to know? Like coming out of this video, just take away and be like, okay, I want to try and apply this, so I want to see how this relates to me, and I want to try and apply this or see if that works for me.
Yep.
You know, a lot of things we discuss is trial and error. So if someone's coming out of this video super inspired or like challenged to, and I want to try this, or maybe this is a way of doing things, or would your advice be to them?
Yeah, so I think just to sum up, the takeaway is, for business, try. Always try. Just, there's a very fine line between perfection and procrastination. You just got to try. You just got to just do it. Don't think about it. Like, don't overthink about it. You know, in terms of the mental health thing, it's really just be kind to yourself. You don't have to be everything all at once. Everything is a stepping stone. I think that's what people put a lot of pressure, is to be this ultimate end goal. They just see the end goal without seeing all the hard work that leads. That's right. You can just go ahead, yeah. Without seeing all the hard work that leads up to that end goal. So, yeah.
And like with both things, like you said, don't be afraid to ask for help. You've said that multiple times. And this shows how important it is, whether it be business or be mental health. I think asking is a big thing, because you never know how someone else can help you with their experience. And this is pretty much how this started. It is just asking each other for help. So thank you so much for joining us. And
no worries.
We're keen to see, man, if you didn't see it as part of the other video, announcement fresh off the press.
Moustache Monaco coming soon.
Maybe we're looking for end of the year sometime, right? Yeah. Man, super excited. Congratulations again. And yeah, we're here at Arky Bay Village. Definitely pay the store a visit. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us again. And we'll see you soon. Peace. Hey, you remember my name?
What? I just taught you for like 2 hours. Imagine if I didn't know your name.
Oh, knows the flavor. Let's go. Oh, let's go. At Clean and Sneaker. Shout out the new Jordan she got last week as well. Oh, bro.
It's all Nutella. We don't make it. We don't normally make it like that. But just for Deo, we made it all Nutellas. Everything is Nutella.
Bruh. From the owner herself. I almost wouldn't be a customer if you wore the other brand. Man, check out our new store here, Orchid Bay Village. Like, check out this place. It's a vibe. It is a vibe. Like, that's a vibe. Like 3 kgs worth.